Welcome everyone to Monday Afternoon Roundtable. Got a good episode today. Got Brianna with me, our partner. We got her in the middle. She's gonna
I don't
add
know
a
why
little.
they stick me in the middle.
We're gonna add a little color to the program today. We've got special guest.
The green
We
color.
have,
Color, I know.
we have two special guests. We have Monty Tyson. Good to see you, Monty. Good
Thank
friend
you
of
for
mine.
coming on here.
Thanks for having me.
Monty is my bar brother. Is that how you describe it? Yes or no? Shaking your head over there. And Rachel
Yes,
is my bar sister.
that's
There you go.
correct.
That's a
And
good
we
way.
enjoy drinks in the afternoon after we get off work. Their shop, CBD East Main, is just down the street from us, below us.
Couple doors down.
And
Doors down.
they do a great business here in the little town of Lincoln. And what we're trying to do is shed light on the industry. You and I have talked about it a lot. Tim and
Yeah.
Jason, all of us have. Rachel and Monty have talked. We've talked about it in length at the bars, talking, and we talk about how the industry's changed. What are some of the obstacles, the weaknesses, if different states, how they regulate, and
Yep.
we're just in a quagmire, in my opinion. And so what I want to do is let Monty come in and talk a little bit, and then you and I can kind of ask him questions regarding not necessarily our personal experience, but some of the things, what we see, what I've seen from a law enforcement perspective. Jason and Tim are behind the scenes, so they can add a little bit if they need be. But I think it's interesting, and I think it's something that North Carolina could take great advantage of and benefit
For sure.
big time if they
Yeah.
would just look at it but I'm kind of unsure, and Monty's the expert in this, and so I'm going to turn it over to him to tell us a little bit about the industry. But to start with, tell us a little bit about your shop and what you do.
Well, thank you, David, and it's great to be here with you guys this morning. Monty Tyson, owner of CBD East Main, along with my partner, Rachel. And we've been open here in downtown Lincolnton for about 5 years now, coming up in March.
Two
We've
stores,
had
right?
2 stores, opened our second store about a year and a half ago. The industry itself is rapidly evolving, and the legal landscape it's a haphazard mess right now because there's for hemp, there's legalization at the federal level, and there are a number of states that have welcomed that and incorporated hemp and farm bills into their state legislations. There are several states like North Carolina that have 0 regulations on the books when it comes to hemp. They let their farm bill expire in 2020 and have not renewed it. And so anyone that's in North Carolina currently, which really the only state that I'm prepared to talk about today because the rest of the country is a mess, but not a mess, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's,
Pretty
there's
close.
50 different ways to do business
Right.
in this industry in 50 different states. But in North Carolina, if you want to grow hemp, you have to apply for a USDA license from the federal government.
Okay.
There is no more North Carolina farm bill that allows, for the state regulation of hemp. So it's all done under the federal umbrella right now.
Okay.
And of course, North Carolina has no recreational or medical cannabis laws. And that kind of brings up the next issue, which is the difference between hemp and marijuana. And we can dive deeper into that if you guys
Let
want
me
to.
just ask this
Yeah.
question first. How many states in the United States currently have medical marijuana legalization?
I looked this up this morning. There's 39 states currently, as of today, that have legalized medical marijuana, including and plus the District of Columbia,
Wow.
because that's not considered a state for some reason. On the medical side, that's medical marijuana. So 40 of the 51 territories in the United States have medical marijuana today. There are an additional 24, or the same states, but 24 of those states also have added a recreational adult use market, which is basically legalizing marijuana across the board.
Okay.
So you
like
have
cigarettes, kind of, sort of.
exactly. You have to go into a licensed dispensary to buy it, but it is a legal product to purchase in 24 states today, if you're over 21.
And your store is considered a dispensary.
Well,
Is there-
that we're talking about marijuana.
Okay.
So should we dive into the difference
Yes.
between hemp? Okay.
Yeah.
So all hemp is cannabis. Not all cannabis is hemp.
Okay.
Okay.
It's the same plant. The only way to tell it apart is the legal definition,
Okay.
Which is the
which
percentage
is
of the
based
THC?
based on one compound that's found in cannabis, delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. That's a mouthful, but it's delta 9 THC. If that cannabinoid, when they pull that plant out of the ground and test it, if that cannabinoid tests for greater than 0.3% by dry weight, that plant is marijuana.
Okay.
If
And you
it's
could be charged.
below 0.3% delta 9, that plant is considered hemp.
Okay.
That is the federal legal definition that divides marijuana from hemp.
Yeah.
And that was created in the 2014 Farm Bill and renewed again in 2018. It expired at the end of 2023, and they renewed it for another year. So that's what we operate under right now in the United States is the 2018 Farm Bill. And that is the legal definition of hemp. As long as it's below 0.3% delta 9 THC, that plant is legal to sell in the 50 states of the United States.
But when you purchase a product from another state, do you just go on good faith that it's less than the 3%, or how do you know?
So that is the rabbit hole that we could fall down and talk about for the rest of the day. Is there is no defined testing methodology today that a laboratory has to follow to test that plant.
Wow.
There is language in a lot of the farm bills that the farmers that grow the crops have to use a DEA certified lab, but there is no testing protocol given to those DEA certified labs to tell them how to test it. They're left to their own devices, and they all test it differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can send the same plant to 12 different labs, and you're going to get 12 different results. That's the quandary that we operate in today.
Okay.
But what that creates is a huge ambiguity. Because what David just alluded to is how do you know what you're buying is what it says it is? And really, the honest answer to that question is you really don't. You really don't.
So what we need is more industry standards nationwide instead of each state regulating and each state coming up with its own rules. And I get that, and that's with everything.
Right.
But what it's caused is a great deal of confusion with the buyer, suppliers, the end user, the customer, whomever.
Right.
And why not just legalize it across the board if you're going to have to go through all
Well,
of
the
that?
problem there is politics.
Well,
Yeah.
and here, if you talk about just our industry and the hemp side of the industry, it's hard to separate it from the marijuana side because they are essentially the same plant. And people are trying to use that 2018 Farm Bill guideline of 0.3% delta 9 THC to stay legal. But without standardized testing and without some protocols put in place as far as how to do that, we're really left to our own devices in a way. We either sink or swim. So the folks that are trying to do it honestly and above board really have a hard struggle because they have to basically invent the processes themselves and hold the standard themselves.
Yeah.
Because there is no regulatory agency right now that is on it, that's looking at it. The FDA has completely abdicated their responsibilities as far as passing the regulations on this. Part of the Farm Bill, when it was legalized, said the FDA now has regulatory approval to pass the rules of the ball game and how people are supposed to do business in this industry. And to date, they have not done that. It's been since 2014 when the original Farm Bill was passed. So they have failed the United States in not regulating. So the operators have been left to self-regulate, and that has created a market that is so shattered, splintered with honest people, dishonest people, maybe even criminal organizations that have.
Who's to say they're not growing it in their backyard and then opening up a store and selling it as CBD? That's what I was
The
thinking.
unfortunate story is that happens every day.
Wow.
And you have no way of knowing unless you deal with a reputable business that you know has their products tested and vetted before they hit the counter.
We got to have one state, and North Carolina could be a great state because it's centrally located. It's more on the East Coast. It's heavily populated. It's about the 10th largest state in the nation, give or take. If North Carolina could take the ball and run with it, like some other states, Washington State, Mexico, other states within the United States, and say all right, we're going to come up with some regulations, and we'll do it through best practices or benchmarking off other states that have
Right.
good programs in place, and then we can come up with an industry.
We
standard.
we currently have 39 examples of how to do it, and
Yeah.
and a lot of them are how to do it, how to not do it.
So
frankly,
would you prefer
but
to be part of that 39?
what I see
39
in
cents.
what David just alluded to, since North Carolina let their hemp law expire, and they don't currently have a marijuana law, they have an opportunity that's pretty unique in the country right now, in that we could marry the two industries together under the same regulatory umbrella.
Oh,
And we could really set legal precedents for how the United States government legalizes cannabis at a broader level also. So we currently have a legal opportunity where we could lead the nation into cannabis regulatory market that everyone can participate in.
The opportunities there. But Jason, help me on this. Possession of marijuana in North Carolina is a Schedule I offense. Is that right? I think Schedule 6. Excuse me.
Unless they changed it, the federal, it used to be Schedule 4.
Okay.
Which is always back.
Marijuana is still currently on Schedule 1.
North Carolina Schedule 6, and less than an ounce and a half, you can cite, it's just.
Okay. And I know you're not mic'd up, so but I just couldn't remember. But from our standpoint as law enforcement officers, back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, I mean, it was
man.
people were getting charged with marijuana for basically dust in a bag.
Yeah.
A lot of people were getting charged. Yes, it was in some
But in some
instances.
states, it's still a felony for any possession of marijuana.
Right, and that's what we got to work on. And
Right.
so in some
That's crazy.
police officers, law enforcement officers are taking advantage of that in cases. But what growing up, it was they always marijuana in the 60s and 70s was what they call it, a stepping stone drug or a drug.
It was
that
the gateway.
Gateway.
drug.
It's
Yeah.
the gateway.
Yeah.
leading to LSD, leading to heroin, and
Yeah.
all these other things, which has been debunked.
Yeah.
But still, the medical portion of it, when you look at all the studies, and Monty was talking about the thousands of studies that gone on medically within the United States, and not just U.S., the world.
I was quoting a Marijuana Moment article that was published a few months ago. I forget the date, but it said in the last 10 years, there have been 32,000 published studies on cannabis. And in 2023, there were 4,000 alone.
Wow.
So the testing's there. It's
Yeah.
not that the testing hasn't been being done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the stigma associated with cannabis
Yeah.
will not allow people to really investigate the benefits. And
Absolutely.
I can speak to that from a personal standpoint if you want to dive more into my personal backstory, but
Yeah.
it's something that we deal with every day. We know there are people in this town that will refuse to step foot in our store, even though they may need what we sell,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to be seen going into our store by people they go to church with
Yeah.
or people they associate with. So
Where's the
That's
it's
a
a
good point.
it's a stigma
Bible
that
Belt.
it's the
I mean, it really
it's a
is.
stigma
Yeah.
that this plant has carried since
Well, but-
1939 when it was
Yeah.
demonized.
Well, it was the same thing with the ABC stores back in the day.
Right.
You know the difference between the Baptist and the Methodist.
Right. Yeah, the Methodists will talk to you in the liquor store.
They will.
Oh my gosh.
The Baptist, I'm telling you, and I'm not being.
That's terrible.
But you go and you see it. You
And
just
it's
act
hard-
like you don't see them. You just look around like.
Well, I could
I'm
see
in here for
how
my brother Tim. I come up a guy.
Yeah.
I have to go pick his stuff.
Yeah,
up.
I'm asking for a friend.
I could see how also I don't know how to say this without okay. Like I know. Don't want to tread lightly. It's also like that in the medical industry with people who are prescribing hundreds of pills
Course.
instead of something that could help them
natural
permanently.
Right.
That is natural. It's grown from the earth. But they would rather gosh, I don't want to say this, but they would rather
I'll say
continue
it.
to have
That's called
I
the
mean,
pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah. I don't-
when I hear people refer to cannabis as a
Yeah.
drug,
Yeah.
I'm the first words out of my mouth is I don't sell drugs. If
Yeah.
you want drugs, go down to the
freaking
pharmacy.
pharmacy.
I sell
Yeah.
a plant. I sell medicine. That's what I sell.
Yeah. There you go.
And from the
Good way to put that.
am I saying that right? From a injury, a person suffering anxiety, hell,
Not even just that,
even the veterinarians,
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's, big time.
Arthritis, all kinds of
ailments
you
that
name
people
it.
have.
You know better than I
Yeah.
would of all the things that they've tested.
When we
for, and
first
people
opened, I tried to keep started to keep track because I had this idea that in order to get cannabis out of the closet and on the table where we could talk about it openly, people had to be willing to share their experiences with it.
Right.
And so when we first opened, we had a number of patients, I call them patients, customers, whatever, that came to us because they were dealing with XYZ condition. And they got help. And I tried to get them to talk about it publicly. And it's next to impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, my father is 83 years old, and he uses cannabis every day.
And it works.
And it's cured his cancer. I can talk about that too, but he will not
Talk about it.
And he does not want to be seen in the dispensary because he cares about what people think about him in his town that he lives in. And that is a sad thing, because
That is.
really what he should be telling people is cannabis cured my cancer, not I'm a pothead.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the way that he looks at it is he feels bad about himself because.
And other people as well. It's there. People say it.
Right.
They look at you different. I mean, it's
where we
It
are.
carries a
It's there.
stigma
Yes,
that
you're
is
right.
It's the culture we're in.
It
But
is, yeah.
Jason, Tim, and myself, all retired law enforcement officers, we're advocates of this industry, and I think we need more people from law enforcement, from the judicial, from the General Assembly, the elected officials to stand up. Where behind the scenes, I think they would advocate or participate, but they can't because of the political stigma that goes along with it.
Right.
So
I
many
can
of these-
probably say from a law enforcement standpoint, if you pull a guy out of his car that just had a shot of brown liquor, he's probably going to want to fight you.
yeah.
And if you pull a guy out of his car that just took a hit off of a joint, he's probably going to be like, "Hey, brother, let's have it's all love."
And that's pretty true,
I'm
right?
sorry.
You know,
That is true.
so you know,
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong kind of thing.
But
where
immediately it's I smell marijuana. Get out.
so that's a good question. That kind of is a good segue because
No
this was a
offense to you
question
guys.
that I had for you guys being in the law enforcement side, and this is a debate that's going on in courtrooms all over the country right now. Is when you pull someone over and you smell cannabis, do you have a legal probable cause right to pull them out of their car and do a search? And this is something that officers today.
It has. You need more than just the odor of the marijuana. And
Just to have to, you can use just that.
well, I'm still seeing a lot of cases. The criminal cases we're working on, I still see it. And again, apologize because he's not mic'd up. But what he's saying is that you have to have more in the elements of just other than the odor.
Just the smell.
But we're seeing it in a lot of our criminal cases where the arrest was based on that stop. I smell the odor of marijuana. That's going to give me more reason to search your car. And then it just goes from there. And then they find the murder weapon or they find whatever.
Right.
They're
Right.
using that marijuana odor as their reason to get in. So, but and you've seen it and I've seen it. You have cases where one officer can smell it and one can't.
Yeah.
And so that really changed the dynamics of the Fourth Amendment search and seizure. But
It's an interesting concept because now when you smell it, you don't know, because I smell like it all the time because I'm rolling joints or I'm working in the store.
Right.
I'm around
What a
the
job.
around the flower. So
What
I
you
know
them rolling
I know
joints at the
sometimes I
shop?
walk into the bank to make deposits or
Yeah.
I'm at the drive-through getting a coffee or something,
Yeah.
and I know people smell that
Yeah.
on me. So how do they perceive me at that point? Do they
Yeah.
do they think I'm high all the time? Which well, anyway.
well, it's a,
I had so you said we couldn't talk about personal
yeah,
things.
you can.
Okay, so to cover your own hind end when you purchase things like from a store like you, let's say I got a receipt, I got it in the bag, I've got the sticker on it, I get pulled over, they're like, "Oh, I smell it, get out, let me search." And I've got my receipt, I bought it from this store, and it's like, let's say 5 grams. They can't arrest me for that because it's from a premium cannabis.
Well, I'll tell you
I
what.
didn't
If
notice
it's
that was every time.
THCA flower, which we're
Yeah.
selling every day today,
that's another question.
if they take that to a DEA certified lab, like we were talking about before, and test it, it's going to test hot.
Yeah.
Because of the way they test it. They
Okay.
decarb it while they're testing it. So they change the product in the process of testing it. So if it's high in THCA, when you heat it, that THCA converts into Delta 9. So in the process of their test, they create what they're looking for. And so then they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it could be a legal product when it left my store, and it could sit in the sun in your car,
Yeah.
and it could decarb in the container.
Wow.
And it could be marijuana when it's tested at the lab. So
That's so interesting.
it is a completely
Yeah.
ambiguous game of
Gosh,
cards
why
right
would they
now.
even
It's
want to
just
waste their time on that
Right.
any longer?
and again, it'll all come down to the discretion of the officer at the scene and what he
What
Well,
he
it goes,
decides.
it goes further than that. It goes to the culture of the agency, the leadership of the agency, the supervisors
You're
in
right.
the agency.
And that's-
are they
true.
hardcore on arrest? Are they hardcore on the marijuana or putting the marijuana in the
Yeah.
same category with hard drugs?
Right.
I'm going to use that
Right.
word. I'm going to change it up just a little bit.
Okay.
In doing the research, I heard a term called the cannabinoid. How do I say that?
cannabinoid.
Cannabinoid. Thank you. Receptor. In
Cannabinoid
the body,
receptors.
in the brain and in the body itself.
Yes.
And that it's just like dopamine receptor.
Correct.
And I didn't know there was such a thing.
So yeah, you want to get into some of the science? That's awesome. Your body has an endocannabinoid system. Your body produces cannabinoids.
Okay.
They call them endocannabinoids.
Interesting.
Okay.
Endocannabinoids. So when you provide your body with a phytocannabinoid, a cannabinoid from a plant,
Okay.
it knows exactly what to do with that compound.
Wow.
So when you provide your body with nicotine or caffeine or alcohol, I could name a million things.
Yeah.
If you take enough of it, it'll kill you because it's toxic at some
Right.
level in your body. Cannabinoids are not.
Right.
They're compounds that your body recognizes and uses. The
why
endocannabinoid
cannabis
system, exactly. That's why you can't overdose.
You can never overdose
So-
on it, ever.
So your body, the endocannabinoid system is integrated into your endocrine system. And your endocrine system manages every chemical in your body, from your brain chemistry, your digestive enzymes, your hormones, everything that your body produces as far as chemicals is managed by your endocrine system. And the endocannabinoid system regulates that. And its job is to find balance, homeostasis. So when you provide your body with CBD or a full spectrum extract that has, now they've identified over 100 cannabinoids, compounds that are called cannabinoids in cannabis, your body knows exactly how to use it. And it'll use it where it needs to. Either if you're having digestive issues, if you're having anxiety and your brain chemistry is just firing willy-nilly. Nerve issues. Now, the different receptors that you talked about, David, you have CB1 and CB2. They don't fully understand the science behind this yet. I know there's been thousands of tests and thousands of studies, but really getting down into the molecular science of how it works, I don't think they have a full understanding of that yet. I will tell you this, THC binds with CB1, and the CB1 receptors are primarily in your nervous system, most of which are in your brain. There are CB1 receptors in other parts of your body on the nerves. That's why this topical that I have sitting up here is a Delta 8 THC topical. It goes right on your skin and it's absorbed, and scientists don't know how it works. But if you have a muscle cramp or neuropathy or nerve issues of any kind, it will provide you with almost instantaneous relief.
Wow.
CBD is a compound that it uses the CB2 receptor. CB2 receptors are in more tissues, not as many in the nervous system, but more in tissue, muscle, bone. And so those compounds are absorbed more wholly by the body instead of just by the nervous system. But CBD, man, you can talk about blood issues. It regulates blood sugar and blood pressure. You can talk about brain chemistry. It does change your brain chemistry. It doesn't intoxicate you, CBD, but it
Or
does.
kill brain cells is what
It
they-
does adjust your brain chemistry. It just helps you be calm. It helps you with pain. Helps inflammation. There are so many things. Like most of the diseases that we battle with today are inflammation based. You know, if you talk about digestion issues, you talk about arthritis and Even inflammation of the brain can cause all kinds of neurological issues. So if just eliminating that one thing from your body, inflammation, just taking a daily CBD regimen, it will help you in so many ways.
Yeah.
I've been able to come off of testosterone, antidepressants. I'm hypothyroid.
Wow.
I was on thyroid medicine for over 20 years.
Wow.
I started taking CBD, and I don't take any of those anymore. I haven't been to a doctor since, and I haven't bought an aspirin over the counter. I haven't taken any pharmaceuticals for about 5 years.
That's awesome.
So products we
Products and
sell,
price range.
you can see them all at cbdeastmaine.com. Our product line is called Twig RX. We have a couple of oils and a few topicals. Price ranges from $20 up to $75, depending on what you buy. Our goal with opening the Twig line was having it accessible to everyone. So our introductory oil right there retails for $23. I mean, that's something that anybody can try at any price point.
I have one question before we do that. Do you have your own farm, or do you?
No, that's a great question. We are not.
And it's not in North Carolina, as if I'm understanding right.
Our stores are in North Carolina,
The stores, but not the farms, where.
where the products are sourced
Yes.
from. Right now, the hemp market is national.
Okay.
So the product that we have made for us is made here in North Carolina.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
10-point question, Brianna, and I missed it.
Yeah.
Just let you
I've been
know.
trying to ask you. You won't be quiet.
I want to ask. All right,
I'm just
which state in the United States, which university? Now, look at my notes. Which university was given the authority to grow marijuana for testing purposes, and is still testing to this day? Because it's illegal, so they were going, okay, we got a big controversy. We want to
Yeah.
study this.
Probably the last state you'd think.
Just take a wild
South
guess.
Carolina.
Well, it's not too far off.
Close.
Mississippi, University of Mississippi.
Yeah.
And it's still there, and it's still. I think there's another
Maybe
one
that's
or
why
two.
some
But
of my family moved up there.
well, I'm telling you, but I would have never,
Just kidding.
never guessed that
So,
in 100 years.
what do you suppose happens to all those plants that they grow at
I
the
know.
University of Mississippi? Because they don't have a legal market in Mississippi. So where does that stuff go?
Testing.
Right.
Somebody's got to test it.
Who gets to pick it up?
Well, it's licensed DEA marijuana, so who's gonna argue against that?
There's one.
Are you saying you're taking a truck up there to go grab it?
No, what I'm saying is that these regulations that we create in the state, like take North Carolina for example, they decriminalized marijuana possession up to an ounce and a half,
As
but they didn't provide any legal means to purchase it.
Yeah.
So, what did that do? What was the net result of that regulation? It was a bigger black market.
Yeah. I was going to say more people
So-
are growing it in the
So,
backyard.
yeah, I mean, you have to look at these things from a rational standpoint. You can't just say, well, we want to have this, but not this. Because once you open that up, then law enforcement doesn't know if it's this or that.
Yeah.
They have no way of determining that. So,
Right.
you really just, if you partially, like what North Carolina's been trying to do is just dip their toe in the water and have a very restrictive medical,
conservative.
the most conservative medical marijuana bill in the country was one of the quotes that I read from one of the Congress people. They just want to dip their toe in the water, legalize it for just the people that
Yeah.
really need it. They're dying. But what that does is it creates legal ways to grow it, legal ways to process it, legal ways to sell it in these dispensaries. But how does the police, when it comes to determining whether this is legal medical marijuana or illegal street purchased marijuana, how do they know?
Well, and we've come a long ways, but we have a lot further ways to go.
And there's
Yeah.
a big difference, I feel like,
Huge.
probably in people
Huge.
growing it in their basement and a premium retailer.
Right.
place.
It's the
I
same
mean,
as bathtub gin and buying it on the shelf in the
Yeah.
liquor store.
Oh,
Those
God.
guys that used to not protect the money that y'all, I don't know, is that, you know what I'm talking about? Like, when it first became legalized in certain states.
Yeah, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, just Google IRS code.
That's still, the issue is that still going on?
It is, yeah. So a legal state licensed dispensary, say in Colorado, that operates legally, they cannot deduct their business expenses on their federal tax return.
And they would only take
And banks will not let them open bank accounts. So yeah, everything does in cash. Because cannabis is still prohibited at a federal level, and those right. So
Wow.
banks
Talked about deregulating that, but it never has.
there's been bills introduced in Congress for the last 5 years regarding cannabis banking legislation, just focusing on that one issue, and they can't even pass that. So it's kind of
Do you see that being fixed in the future, or is this something you think this industry is going to have to deal with?
well, it's hard for me as just I'm Joe small business guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a big operator, but it's hard for me from this side of the street saying I'm out here boots on the ground building this industry from the bottom up.
Mm-hmm.
You won't provide me any regulations or a playing field rules to play by, so I have to kind of
Play it as you go.
we're inventing the wheel as we go.
Yeah.
We've jumped off the cliff and we're building the airplane on the way down. Now what's happening is big marijuana companies, MSOs for lack of a better word, multi-state operators. You're seeing right now in the cannabis industry, the hemp side is being fought by the marijuana side at every step of the legislative process. Instead of being unified, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is intoxicating cannabinoids that are derived from hemp are making inroads into these states and markets where they have a legal marijuana market. So if you've got a guy that's invested millions of dollars to operate a legal marijuana dispensary in Colorado, again, let's just say, lack of a better example, and he's highly regulated, highly taxed, can't file a federal tax return, can't put his money in the bank. He's stigmatized at every level of government. But next door to him at the gas station, the same customer can walk in there and buy a hemp-derived THC product that is completely unregulated, completely unlabeled, not tracked or traced or registered or regulated in any way, and it still gets them the same effect. Why wouldn't that guy be pissed?
Right.
You know, I'd be pissed. And so if the government can't figure out how to regulate these two markets together, it's the same fucking plant, people.
Yeah.
Come on, figure it out.
Yeah.
So we have the opportunity in North Carolina to lead the nation and how to marry these two industries together. Not even that. It's the same industry. How to regulate this industry as a whole. And we need to do that. We need to do it before
There'll be a lot of cured patients.
the toe dippers get their bill passed, and it starts this thing on the whole direction that we don't want to go. It's a bigger black market.
And I think that's the direction, unfortunately, where we're going now. But I want to jump into it's called problematic cannabis use, or the problematic cannabis disorder. In doing some of the research, it was a doctor out of UCLA, Dr. Kim Miller, was talking about too much cannabis as far as addiction goes, as far as withdrawals, social environmental issues that
Sure.
come along with it. But can you talk about that just a minute? Have you seen any of that as far as
Some
that are just off the charts?
So
Too much intake.
anytime you have an unregulated market, you're going to have bad actors that exploit that. Right now, what you're seeing in the unregulated hemp market is synthetically derived cannabinoids that get you really, really, really fucked up, for lack of a better term.
Probably sick.
And in some cases, they're created in a lab with agents that aren't clean. They're not tested for contamination of any kind. You know, when they're done, they just test them for efficacy if they test them at all. So you don't know, really. If you buy a gas station hemp product or a head shop hemp product, you're rolling the dice.
Yeah.
You're rolling the dice because there could be anything in that, and there's no government agency pulling those products, testing them for cleanliness or for anything. It could come from China. It could come from bumfuck
They can
Egypt.
spray
It doesn't
whatever
matter.
they
It,
want to put on it, I guess.
it could be sprayed, infused. It could be made in the same facility with other drugs. I heard a story. It was secondhand. I don't know the truth of it, but someone bought legal products in a head shop and tested positive for fentanyl.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm scared, and I'm in the industry.
Right.
You know, I'm when I see these stores that pop up, these smoke shops and head shops that are selling these vape brands, we've pulled some of those products.
Yeah.
We've vetted some of those products. We know they're not good.
Yeah.
But we don't have a platform, and there's no regulatory agency to call and say, hey, that's a bad product. So what do? Wait for somebody to die?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What has to happen for somebody to step up and say, we need a regulatory framework for these people to operate in?
For every single state, not just here and there.
Well, and you can no.
Oh, no.
It did.
I'm
but
sorry,
No,
David. I lost my train of thought. So let me
as
get
far
back.
as the
So
addiction and
the
the
addiction
dependency
part of it, THC, Delta 9 THC is not addicting.
Okay.
It can be habit forming because everybody loves to feel better, right? Now, there are stories where people stop using it for a while, and then when they go back to using it, they have a different reaction to it than they did at first time. And I don't fully understand that. And I think that's probably what you were referring to, the cannabis use disorder or something like that.
Yeah.
There are other people that have addictive personalities. I'm one of them, you know, so I really have to watch it with everything that I consume because I tend to go full throttle,
Yeah.
no matter what I do. So know yourself, but getting the guidance from a professional that knows the products and knows what you're trying to accomplish with the products, whether you have pain or anxiety or you have a medical condition that you're trying to treat, getting the counsel from a reputable business that deals only in cannabis and can help you dial in a regimen that will give you the results you're looking for. That's our business. I know people like to feel good. I mean, I like to get high and I like to enjoy a social buzz, you know, once in a while. And marijuana can be used in that regard. And it's a recreational drug. But it is also has the potential for abuse, just like any other psychoactive compound. So you just have to know yourself and really know what you want to accomplish with it so that you get the guidance that you need in order to use the product properly. Does that make sense?
It does, and that was something I wanted to close it with, to kind of say, you know, there's pros and cons with everything, but it's good to see your passion within this industry, especially when we're sitting at the bar talking in the evenings and other people are listening. You can tell everybody starts, you know, they're really wanting to understand what you're
they
talking
wanna
about,
hear.
Right.
And they learn something. Or I do every time I talk.
Well,
to them.
and I do have a passion for this. You can read about our history online, on our website. I believe that there's been not just one blood sacrifice made for my business, but there's been sacrifices made through the years in this industry by people that have figured out that what we've been told our whole lives about cannabis is a big fat lie. And they've tried to push the envelope, push people to see that too, and they've been castigated and persecuted and prosecuted and killed and everything. I mean, you think about the lives that have been laid down for this industry that we could get to where we are today. And where we are today is, if you're over 21, you can walk into our store on Main Street in Lincolnton and buy cannabis. And that's pretty cool.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
And I am passionate
Beneficial.
about it because
Like very.
it's changed my life, and it will change your life too if you're willing to give it a shot.
There you
And that's just the bottom
And I
line.
highly recommend everyone to go to CBDEastmain.com. Is that right? CBDEastmain.com. And any questions or concerns you may have as far as the podcast, let us know those. We'll do a follow-up maybe. I promise you we're going to bring Rachel on the next time. She's going to sit up here, and she's going to let you see her beautiful face.
We
And
might
you
need
can
to
hear-
get her
You think I'm
a couple
passionate?
shots of whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your help.
Yeah.
You brought a lot to the table. And
Thanks, you guys. Hope I didn't talk too much. I feel
No,
like
thank
I
you so much.
dominated
I
the
just learned a
conversation.
lot just now.
I'd
so.
love to do another episode later if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
But we were also wanting you to hang around. We do what's called a last call, where we drink a little bit of
Are we
bourbon.
doing this on camera?
Oh, of course we do.
Well, I brought my own last call.
Oh, we'll.
Ooh.
That's even better. Or do you want to do a cut, or just go right into it? But I tell you what we're gonna do.
Well, I brought one for everybody.
We're gonna do a cut.
Oh,
And
yeah.
good deal. And then we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Monday afternoon roundtable, last call, our favorite part. Got Monty and Rachel with us from
I'm not Rachel.
CBD East Maine.
What do you say?
You got it.
Rachel's back here still. We couldn't get her up here.
I know, but
Next time.
and we got something. Let's start with the bourbon.
Okay.
Elijah Craig, small batch, 1789. We haven't had that yet. It's 94 proof.
Another Kentucky whiskey.
Good stuff.
That's like all.
It's like rocket fuel.
Huh? What?
Ladies first.
So you're saying it's gonna burn?
A little bit. Well, no, it's not. It's not bad. It's bad as you think, but that's why we're.
Please just give me a sip.
Yeah. Well, look at this.
Does this
Well,
one?
no, you just want to sip.
Jeez.
I don't ever finish it. I take.
I'm
a
a
sip.
lightweight. There you go. Thank you.
All right. And you guys back there in the control room have a.
We all have a glass.
All of you. Let's Elijah Craig, small batch.
God, it
We're
smells.
gonna test it. You can smell it. That's good stuff. Cheers. Thank you, Monty, for coming on.
Cheers,
We had a
y'all.
Great show today. Great show.
scared.
Interesting. We want you to listen, and we're talking about the CBD industry in North
I'm
Carolina.
sorry.
And what
I tried
she
real
does
hard.
it every time.
I tried so hard.
Elementary. Every time. Okay. Was it that bad?
Sorry. Yeah. Let me chase it with this.
Oh.
I said I was. What?
You're not going to drink it. You sit there and whine about it.
I will
Okay.
drink a little bit of it. Now you've made a mess. You
You
gonna
two done?
finish talking about the weather or whatever you were doing over
No,
here?
we were talking about
So
Elijah
I
Craig.
knew we were having last call, so I brought my own. What this is
Tastes much better than
Rebel
the
Rabbit
whiskey.
infused seltzer. This is alcohol
Wild
free.
hair.
It's a 10 milligram THC sparkling beverage. It's mostly
4 grams of
water,
sugar.
slightly sweet. It's very refreshing.
It is good.
So enjoy, y'all.
This whiskey.
That's
Whose
good.
whiskey is this, by the way?
Tim.
I like the Elijah Craig. Smooth.
It is smooth. And
Second
what we
one
do,
wasn't so
Monty,
bad.
is we give it a score, a 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, i.e., that you've ever put in your mouth,
Yeah.
10 being the best that you've ever tasted.
Well, I could probably count on one hand the number of whiskeys I've actually tasted, but so I could call that like a 7.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Monty gives it a 7?
Is that too aggressive?
No,
one more
because
sip
I'm
and
gonna
tell
give
us
it a
what-
3.
A 3.
It's a hard 3. That's not smooth at all. I'm sorry.
I give it-
I'm not gonna lie on that one.
Elijah Craig's one of my faves. I'm going to give it 8.5.
Maybe with an
it's good.
orange in it or something.
I like the
Yeah.
smokiness.
Well,
It's got
smoky
some
orange, yeah.
it's got some good smokiness to it.
What score do you give it back in the back there, Jason? Big 8, strong 8. Tim? 8.5, like a
Burn it.
Oh man.
I've had 2
Rachel's
sips.
hard.
Rachel said
1
1.
and a
See,
3.
Harsh.
So
that's a man's
Tough-
drink.
tough
I can't
critic.
handle that.
Tough,
Oh, it's-
tough.
it's a little different, but I
I'm
like
gonna
it.
have heartburn the rest of the day.
And this Rebel Rabbit, high seltzer, wild
So
hair.
give that a 1 to 10 on a score of seltzers.
Well, I like these, so 10. I like it.
Right on.
I'll give it a 9.
Hey, I read this morning that what was the name of the company? Tilray, which is a publicly traded Canadian marijuana company, just bought a beverage company from Molson Coors. So they're getting ready to get into the THCA beverage in a big way, I bet.
That'll be good.
There's
So
a huge market for it right now.
Let me tell a funny story. You might not know, but my husband's a bail bondsman, bounty hunter. He goes all over to catch people, bring them back. They went to Colorado a few times, and they have to drive the fugitive back. Probably shouldn't be saying this on camera, but they got to drive him back. Fly out there, they drive him back, but they'll stop before they leave.
Of course.
They don't bring it over the state line, but they had they have an old man that goes with them. He's been doing it forever. He's kind of loony. Sorry, Gant, but they switched his water bottle label and gave him
Just been outed.
they gave him a very strong hemp.
So he slept the rest of the way
I
home.
don't know what to say. Yes, and he was like, "Man, I don't know what was. I drank that water. I was so thirsty." And he was out for a 12-hour ride.
What's the price on the 4-pack?
They the cans retail for $6.50 a can. We don't sell
I can't believe Tim's drinking
Yeah.
one of those.
And just on a local note, if you want to give a plug to another local business, our friends over here at Untap just started serving THCA beverages in their bottle shop. So
I've had one of those actually.
Untapped.
here's to Untapped for
Yeah.
their
Right down the street.
forward-thinking progressiveness.
Very much so.
Bones was
Great.
just up here with me the other day.
I was
Yeah.
trying to get Bones to come on the show sometimes. Isn't it maybe his dad or his
Yeah.
mother and come on and 'cause they
Yeah,
have a hell
Brad
of
and
a
Marie would
business.
love to. Yeah,
Great people. And then the other brother, he's moving away, I think.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Adrian.
Adrian, excuse me. Yeah.
he proposed to his wife or girlfriend in Japan, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then now they've moved to Texas. He's going to start physical therapy. I think he's going to be a physical therapist, if I'm not mistaken.
Good.
I actually used to work for them before I became a PI.
Oh.
While I was starting up, Marie would let me put my cards at the end of the cash register. I love her so much.
Good
Right.
people.
Love them.
All right, Jason, we've had 2 primaries this week already over.
Santa's dropped out,
DeSantis dropped out during the second one.
our girl Nikki Haley, our lady that I like.
Nikki Haley's still in it. And their home state's coming up next in South Carolina, so it's kind of do or die for her. And,
I don't have a clue what y'all are talking about.
So, politics.
Oh.
Just the future leader of the free world.
Oh,
And it's going to be interesting. Trump's ahead right now, and so we'll see.
What do you think of Vivek Ramaswamy?
Well, he finally got out, and I was never a fan. He was.
You didn't like him?
No, I think he was in it for the wrong reason. He's a billionaire and made a lot of money, and he's a smart individual, and he got further than anyone could have imagined by no name. Hell, he finished third, basically,
Yeah.
is where he was,
Yeah.
and that just doesn't happen. That's what's changing in our American politics right now.
That's what we need more of, I think.
We do. We need more people entrepreneurs that can come out and say, here's why I want to be president. But you can't run off a bandwagon. I can't stand it
Yeah.
when somebody just jumps on a bandwagon and just tries to
Yeah.
you get that second seat, working towards that vice president spot.
Right.
And I feel in my heart and heart that Trump's going to get the nomination and Haley's going to be his number 2.
I hope not, but
But I think that's what's going to happen. But who knows?
I don't really like Nikki Haley that much. I just don't really agree with
She's
a
kind
lot
of
of
like
her
Trump. You
politics.
either love her or you hate her.
Yeah.
So, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
We had we're down to the Super Bowl's coming up. We got 4 games or 2 games, 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Go Detroit.
About those Bills, man, that was rough.
How about them refs, huh?
The referees in the NFL today, I mean, they really need some work. It's
It's
sad
all
to see.
scripted. Pull up the Super Bowl logo. Look at the colors on it. It's purple and red. It's San Francisco and Baltimore. They've had it
I was gonna say
scripted
that,
since day one.
Yeah.
I think that's
all right,
all.
we're
it
going
showed.
for Detroit now because they've have they ever won a Super Bowl by chance? I don't think
They've
they
won the NFL championship a few times,
have. Well,
but
that's who I'm supporting.
kind of like my Arizona Cardinals. They're perpetual losers.
Kind
Or,
of like those
I'm sorry,
Dallas
perpetual non-winners.
Or the Atlanta Braves win all year long and then come to the big game. And
They're young,
oh,
very the youngest team in the Major League. Give them a little time.
This Elijah Craig's growing on me a little bit.
we got a lot of cases going on right now. We're busy as we've ever been, so that's a good
Thank
thing.
the
So we're
Lord.
just trying to get things in order. But we always take one day for this Monday afternoon roundtable, and it's a good time. Again, we're in our 3rd year, I guess. We're still learning. We still have technical difficulties. We still have foobars that go on behind the scenes. We have people in here that make funny faces when they drink hard liquor sometimes
Well,
and stuff
I
like
mean-
that. Tim did
I
it one
feel like
time.
that
on
bitter
one we
beer
were
face
drinking.
guy.
Yeah.
The first time we did it, I think. Took a big swig and he's like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And he meant for Garrett to cut that part out, but Garrett left it in, which was pretty good.
We'll just let it go.
Let it
Just
go.
let it be what it is.
That it is.
So is this one going to be on the outtake reel?
Probably. We've done a couple outtakes that didn't make it to the cut, or to the yeah, because we started with the last call, or it was fun.
Yeah.
But that's what makes life good. Yeah, we've had some good times. I appreciate you bringing this. I want everybody
Yeah,
to tune
thank
in
you.
and listen to the podcast about the industry and what we're talking about.
And go into the store, just check it out. Don't be
Oh,
embarrassed to
absolutely.
walk
Go
into
to
the
the
store.
store.
That's ridiculous.
CBD
just because there's a
Eastman.
pot leaf plant, like, oh my God, I can't go in the store. That's ridiculous.
CBDEastmain.com. We actually just launched this week. We launched delivery. So we're delivering out
Launch
to 10
delivery.
miles.
You hear that? If you're afraid to get in the store.
If you're afraid to come in the store, you don't want to be seen in the store, call us, get on our website. We'll walk you through what you need, and you can have it delivered right to your door.
That's amazing.
Oh, I think that's going to be good too.
That is amazing.
Well, good. Again, thank you.
Congratulations to you guys, by the
Yeah,
way.
absolutely. And I
Thank you.
appreciate you both coming on. And I know we're going to get some feedback, so we'd like to do it again. Maybe just kind of answer some of the questions that our viewers may have, questions that come up
Yeah,
between
I'm
us.
sure you could talk about this all day.
Yeah,
So,
We do talk about it all day.
yes, you've got to get up here. She had, yeah.
so,
They're
again,
awesome.
thank you again, Monty. I appreciate
Thank you
guys.
for having us.
CBDEastmain.com.
.com.
Go to it. Monday afternoon roundtable. Like, prescribe, share, do all those cool things that we do.
Watch. Just watch.
Just
Yep.
watch. Anyhow, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Hope to see you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.